Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Gruver. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Fire and Earth podcast. I am your co-host, Kathy Gruver.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I just wanted to do my voice a little different.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, okay. Well, hey, today we wanted to talk about actually one of Kathy's clients just recently told her something that we thought, this would be a fabulous episode idea. And so the quote was, or kind of the download that this client had that she shared with Kathy was, I will get to you when I'm done with me. Okay. I will get to you when I am done with me.
I love it. So often we put everybody else above ourselves. And, we want to be helpful and we want to please people, and we're living in a cooperative society, or hopefully we are. And there are so many people who don't put themselves at all on their to-do list. Everything is for everybody else. They're doing their 30th bake sale. They're picking up everybody else's kids. They're doing everything around the house, and they don't take time for themselves. And this client very wisely and with great self-reflection realized, no, you know what? Like, this is the year where I get my needs met. This is the year where I put myself on my own to-do list. And I thought that was brilliant. So I mentioned that to Jason, and we thought that would be a fun episode. So here we are.
Well, yeah, because I see a lot of people this way. I am this way a lot of times too, right? And so, I especially see it when, especially mothers are this way a lot, where, you start having children, you're the mother, like you said, PTA meetings, bake sales, running the kids everywhere, cooking dinner, cleaning the house, all the stuff. And then especially when the kids don't need you anymore, right? Then it's like, you don't know what to do, right? Because your whole life has really been spent taking care of everybody else.
Yep.
And so a lot of times there's none of the self-care that goes along with it, but it's not just women, right? It's men too. I mean, I've done the same thing to where, most of my life I have been taking care of other people in the way that I do. Right. And so, but how much time do I actually spend on taking care of me? Right now, when we say that, right, the first thing that pops through a lot of people's minds, and it has even in me that I'm still working myself through, is, Kathy, doesn't that really sound selfish? And aren't you just a selfish narcissist if that's the way you think of life?
Well, there are certainly selfish narcissists.
Yes, there are.
I'm working on a program called Surviving the Narcissist. So yeah, there's definitely narcissists. And there are definitely people that are all about themselves, where they don't give a flying shit about anybody else. They will walk over your dead body to get to a Mountain Dew machine because they're thirsty. We're not talking about those extremes. What we're talking about is finding value in ourselves. And I remember doing this. I was doing a mind body workshop, might have been my stress talk, but I was talking about self-care. And this woman raised her hand and said, you don't understand. And I went, okay, whoa, a little aggressive there. She's like, you don't understand. I have 2 kids and I'm a single mom and I have to do everything for them. And I said, but what are you teaching them? Because these weren't like toddlers. These were, 8 to 10-year-olds who could be okay for 10 minutes in the house while she took a bath. And she just wasn't thinking about it that way. She felt that she had to live her life 100% for these kids. And I said, but what are you teaching them if you can't take 10 minutes out to take a bath or have a shower that's uninterrupted without them walking in the room and going, I need you? I said, how are you teaching them to treat themselves if you are living 100%? I'm not talking about 90%, I'm talking 100% for them. And she kind of went, oh yeah. And she had this like light bulb moment of, oh shit, what am I training them to be like? First of all, it's also training them to be a little bit narcissistic in that everybody should drop everything for them. So that's also not a great example for the kid, right? Because they're now expecting that every relationship, every teacher, every partner, every boss should live for them. And that's not great training either. So in having like a discussion with her at the end for question time, we kind of came to this conclusion of, even if it's 2 minutes an hour or 10 minutes a day, you have to do something for yourself, for your own mental health, your physical health. It has to be on the list.
Well, I think it's because what you kind of just made reference to there is, where I think a lot of people don't think this way. So let's just kind of couch this back, right? Is that most of the time, like you said, we feel like we're helping the other person because we're doing everything for them. We're living for them. We're taking care of everything. We're fixing the problems. But what if instead what you're actually doing is you are enabling the other people? You're not allowing them to take their own personal responsibility. You're not teaching them how to stand in their own power and be their own person, right? So I think what happens when you start asking yourself some of those questions, what you're going to find out is what you think you're doing and how you're killing yourself to what you think is help other people, you're actually hurting them more than you're helping them.
And you're really hurting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a client who she does everything for her boss. I mean, everything. Gets his lunch, picks up his dry cleaning, makes his personal travel arrangements. She does all the stuff. And I said, well, and she's working like 500 hours a week. I mean, like she's so burned out. It's a horrible situation. And I said, well, what happens if you would say, no, I don't have time to make your private vacation plans because I'm doing my job? She goes, I don't know. I've never tried. And I said, well, why do you think he gives you all this stuff? And she said, oh, because I just do it. So she's set up this cycle now where she can't get out of it. She's trapped in this job. She's trapped with this boss. Her perception is trapped because she's never said no. And now everybody else in the office goes, oh, she'll do it. So literally, if like somebody in a different department is out of work that day, other departments will come to her to have her do the work because she's always said yes. And in looking at her saboteur assessment, which I can't remember if we talked about at some point, she's a pleaser. That's her number one thing. She connects with people through pleasing. She gets her self-worth through pleasing. She feels like other people will only like her if she pleases. And we want to help other people. But being in that kind of situation where everything is, yes, I'll do that without an argument, sets up really bad patterns and really dangerous situations.
Well, it does. And what's interesting too is that it because with that, it just takes somebody in a relationship, right? And I think that this comes up sometimes where one person in the relationship, or maybe both people, are people pleasing. It can be either way, right? To where you're just trying to please the other person. But what if you no longer did everything for that person? Would they still quote unquote love you, right? Because again, I mean, there's conditional love and there's unconditional love. And I think most of the time, even though we don't realize it, most of us love conditionally.
Sure.
I will love you if you do this, or as long as you continue to do that, or you continue to provide for me, you continue to drive me around, you continue to whatever it happens to be that people are doing for you, right? That you love or want to be with somebody as long as they continue to do those things that you want them to do. But what if they no longer did it? Would you still love that person or want to be with that person?
Yeah. Well, and you talked earlier about narcissists. Oh my God, who do you think the narcissist is going to target? The person that is of weaker self-awareness, who is a pleaser, who will say yes to everything. I mean, that's where the narcissist comes in. You standing up for yourself and saying, I need 10 minutes to take a bath, is not the narcissist. The narcissist is the one that's going to prey on you when everything that you do is for somebody else. That's where that dynamic comes in.
Well, and it just depletes you.
Yeah.
Wears you down. Like you said, I mean, that the lady who said she didn't have any time for herself, right? I mean, I don't think she was jumping around with high energy and everything else either, right? She was probably looked like she was exhausted and tired and just fed up with it, right? I mean, because doing that all the time, it's again kind of like, a battery, right? We all wake up every morning with a certain amount of charge in our battery in our body, body battery, right? and as we go through the day, we use up that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you've got some sort of alternator device, like in a car, right? So again, you start your car, the battery typically unless you have an electric vehicle, but the battery starts the engine.
Mm-hmm.
The engine then runs, and there's a little thing called an alternator that picks up energy from the spinning motion in the motor and sends energy back to the battery to replenish it, right? So what would happen? One of the cars that I had, the alternator went out, right?
Yep.
Which meant every time I started the car, it took charge from the battery, but
Yep.
the alternator was not replacing it. So what happened after a little while, I go out to start my car, the battery is dead. I jump my car, right? I get a quick jump, start my car, I drive again, I get to the next place, I turn it off, my battery's dead again, and I can't start it again, right? Because there was nothing putting energy back into the battery.
Yep.
It's the same way with us, right? There's certain things that we need to do, should do every day, even again, like you said, even if it's only for 10 minutes, but different ways that we can fill our battery back up. Because if we don't, we get to the end of the day, maybe we still have a little bit of a charge left, we go to bed, but we wake up the next morning, it's not a full charge. Maybe there's only 90%. We go through the next day, the same thing, we wear it down, we wake up the next day, maybe there's only 70% left. Right? And slowly over time, you'll get to the point to where people start using terms like burnout, right?
Yeah, it becomes a health crisis.
It's a health crisis. Sometimes it shows up, medically as well. But that's the reason why you're not charging your battery. Right. And I love the whole, this, I will get to you when I'm done with me. It goes back to another phrase that I've heard and used a lot in my life as well. When people come running to you like, oh my gosh, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Oh, you have to help me. You have to help me. You have to help me right now. Right. And I like to say, well, failure to plan on your part does not make it an emergency on mine.
Oh, that's
ouch. Good. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because you didn't plan and all of a sudden you're in a crisis, it ain't my problem. That's your problem.
Yeah.
Right. If I can help you, I'm going to help you. But, it's not an emergency to me just because you fucked up. Right?
Yeah. I love that.
And so it's, but that's how people are a lot of the times, right? Is they come and they need it now. They need it now. They want it right now. And okay, maybe I can help. But again, I can't give you everything, right? I can't drain my whole battery. I can only give you a part of my energy, if you will, right? Because I got to go start my own car. Right. So if I transfer all the energy from my battery to your battery to fill you up, what does that leave me with? Nothing.
And I see so many people doing that. They give everything to everybody else, and that they leave themselves with nothing. And that is, first of all, not a great way to live. I mean, that can't bring happiness and joy and, that feeling of fulfillment if you're giving everything away to everybody else. So reclaim part of that. Be a little bit selfish. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Even again, if it's 5 minutes a day, do something that you enjoy, something that's going to recharge your battery. Because if you're living wholly for somebody else, that's not, is it living? I mean, I don't want to sound judgy, but it's, is it living? Or are you happy with not getting anything back? And, each individual has to answer that question.
Well, yeah, maybe we can give people some ideas too, right? Because again, there might be some people that are listening. Some of you may be like, hey, I know what it is. I know what it is that charges me up, right? If there's a certain hobby or other things that you might have, those might be things, right? You need to go paint, or draw or whatever it is, right? But maybe we can talk about or give people some ideas for even simple little things, right? I mean, I love music. So it's really easy to pop in headphones and listen to music, even just for a few minutes, right? Especially if it's music that's kind of upbeat and gets you going, right? 5 or 10 minutes of listening to that music might be all it takes. Right? Maybe you like to draw. You doodle on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a piece of art. You know, if there's a certain kind of food that you like, right? Maybe you go just, you know, and again, not like eat half the refrigerator of it, but just savor what it is, right? Or if you like to cook, or if you like to garden, or look at nature, or smell flowers, or whatever it is, right? I mean, all of these different things. One that I like to do too is, you know, complimenting or trying to, you know, help other people, right? Like smiling to people, waving to them, saying hi, connecting with another individual. And again, that might seem like, well, it's helping me as well, right? So when you're actually connecting with somebody else, when you're helping them feel good, it doesn't take anything to send somebody a text and go, hey, I was thinking of you today, and just hope you're having a great day.
Absolutely.
Doesn't really take any of your energy. It makes you feel better. And it should make them feel better at the same time.
Absolutely. Well, and for the longest time when I was working on one of my books, I guess it must have been the communication book, after I wrote a certain chunk of it, I was allowed to watch a trapeze video. So I would get on YouTube and I would search for a trick, or I'd look for a specific show or a specific performer, and I'd watch a trapeze video, or I would watch an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway, which totally refueled me, or I would watch bloopers from one of my shows, or, you know, not get lost in the internet, you know, spiral of, oh, I've been sitting here for 7 hours now and I've watched every trapeze video ever made. But I would give myself, like, you get to watch one video no longer than 8 minutes, you know, and if you don't know what will refuel you, think back to what you did as a kid. Did you like to run around? Did you like to hike? Did you like to play football? Did you like to get on your bike and do something? Maybe you get a Peloton. Maybe you do a spin class. You know, if it's something that you enjoy, you will find the time to do it. And, you know, for me, one of the things I love is I love a bath. That is my happy place. Get me a book, a candle, some bubbles or some sort of salts or something. I am the happiest person in the world if I get in a bath. And so I allow myself to do that. It's like, I'm so busy. You know what? Yeah, take time out and take a bath. It's so recharging. It's relaxing. It's a treat. It's something that makes me feel special. And what was a quote that I saw? Don't wait for a man to bring you flowers. Plant your own garden.
There you go.
Yeah.
We've like, dropped some bombs today from a quote perspective, right?
We're going to get sued.
I don't think any of those are, at least I don't know who they're attributed to. So if that's the case, I think they're public domain quotes, but anyway.
My client who said we could use that first one. The rest, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, figure out what you like and recharge yourself, put yourself on the list. And also another client of mine this week said, I learned recently that no is a complete sentence. You don't have to add why, you don't have to give some excuse, you don't have to just say no. That's a full sentence, no. And, you know, the more we say no to other things that we don't want to do, the more we're saying yes to ourselves. And that's really important for our own mental health, physical health, overall health.
Well, and as I was just thinking too, you know, I mean, anything that you can do is better than not doing. So even if it's a minute, even if it's 5 minutes, it's better than nothing.
Absolutely.
But I was just thinking too, because, you know, again, some of the kind of workplace productivity surveys and other things that I've seen as well is, you know, typically after 20 to 30 minutes of a single task, most of us start to wane. And in fact, if you're trying to do something typically for more than about 50 minutes, you start having diminishing productivity. Returns, absolutely. Right. So again, it, you know, a simple rule of thumb, and one of the things that I kind of do because I work from home, and it really depends on my meetings, but for the most part, I try to work for 45 or 50 minutes and then take a 10 or 15 minute break. And then, you know, if that works, right? I mean, again, it kind of depends on the task that you're on, but as a rule of thumb, that's what I try to do. Work 45 to 50 minutes at a go, take a little break, right? Because when you take that little break, you actually come back refreshed and a little bit more charged, and you can go for the next time. Now, the caveat is, and again, I know especially as a creative, sometimes you get in the flow and it's 3 hours later and you don't know where the time went.
Right.
If you're in flow, keep going.
Keep going. Oh, I'm going to break this thought process in the middle of my award-winning novel to go watch a trapeze video.
But it's just kind of a rule of thumb, because I
Yeah.
think, again, especially at work, we tend to really burn ourselves out. I mean, I used to work through lunch and do a bunch of other stuff. There's a reason why we're supposed to have breaks. I mean, we did an old episode called Take Smoke Breaks, right? Take your lunch break, do those things. Your employer's already given it to you.
Legally, that's why they put it in there.
That's why
they
it's
recognize
there.
you need breaks.
You need breaks. So
yeah, cool. So take a break, give yourself a break, put yourself on the list. Don't live 100% for everybody else. And that's pretty good. Yeah.
I think that's great. Something for people to work on this week.
Time to make changes. All right. I am Kathy Gruver. I can be reached at kathygruver.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. So go out and have a great week and start doing some things to put yourself first and recharge your battery. See you on the next episode. See ya.
See ya.